I think we all have something about us that we may or may not want others to know about, our personality. It might be a little habit here and there. It might just be a little mannerisms, that we have that we are not too keen in, allowing other people to know about us. Now, I have a dirty little secret that I want to share with you guys. And, I don't know how to say it, but I'm just going to just come right out and just tell you anyway. Oh man, this is hard. This is hard. All right, I'm just going to say it. I spend most of my time listening to music from the radio. There, I said it. I said it. Yeah, I'm going to repeat it. Yeah, I spend most of my time, most of the music that I listen to from the radio. Now you may be saying, what? You call yourself somebody who, you know, is in music and you're in audio equipment and you're talking about audio, on the World Wide Web and you're listening to music from the radio. Yeah, I do it every day. And I don't think I'm very unique in this situation, guys. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, depending on how busy our lives are, we may or may not have the time to sit and, listen music the way we want to, like, sit in front of our audio systems, our audio setup, and do this kind of evaluative kind of listening or just, listening for pleasure. Because we all have busy lives. If you're still working like I am, and especially if you have to commute, right? I commute long distances from time to time. And, when I'm driving, this is the time where I spend a lot of time listening to music. This is my quiet time. This is the time when I can relax, I can turn it up, and I can enjoy it the way I want to. Yeah, so, you know, I don't think I'm unique in this situation. I think a lot of us who commute, and especially long distances, it's the time when we get to kind of sit and listen to music, whether it be pre-recorded music, whether we are streaming in our car, or we're just listening to radio, right? So I would say 70% of my music listening is listening to music while I'm driving. And to break down that 70% a little bit further, I would say 80% of the music that I would listen to while I'm driving is from a radio station. And the other 20%, I'll be streaming something from my phone, whether it be from Spotify or some other music streaming app, or just from YouTube. I may be listening to a concert, streaming a concert via YouTube. I mean, I'm not watching the video. I just have it connected, my phone connected via Bluetooth or through Android Auto, and I'm listening through my speakers, right? So that's how I spend most of my listening time. Yes, 70% of my music listening is listening in my car. The other 30%, I'd be listening at home. I have a little setup behind me here. Let me just pull out of the shot so you can see it. You know, yeah, a little setup behind me here. And I also have another little setup out there in my exercise room area where I do my workout. And that would be where I would listen to a lot of the music that I listen to from the radio. Actually, that other 20%, that I listen to, or sorry, that 30% that I listen to when I'm not in my car. Yeah, it's between this system and another one that I have just outside these doors where I am, while I'm exercising, I would be, you know, just turning up something. Now, you know, um, part of the reason why I end up, well, it's not the main reason, but just a little bit of context here. I grew up in a culture where I am from, I'm from the islands. And back in my day, it's all about reggae. So I grew up with reggae. The dancehall kind of reggae, 1980s, early 90s, dancehall reggae music. You understand? People are going to say reggae and dancehall is the different genre, but I'm just going to say I grew up in the reggae era. All right. But over that time, I also end up listening to a lot of R&B. I love reggae and I love R&B at the time. But when I moved to North America, I'm currently living in Canada, right? I, for some reason, and I don't think I'm unique in this sense. Our musical taste kind of evolve from time to time. Our musical taste, as we get older, or as we're exposed to different genres of music, will change from time to time, right? Will evolve from time to time. And so when I moved to North America, in Canada to be specific, I would be driving in my car, and I would be like testing different radio stations, to see what I like. And then I came across this radio station, right? Um, which plays they play predominant pre what's the right word? Um, well, they played almost exclusively jazz music. So I started, exploring jazz, listening to a couple tracks here and there while I would be maybe, um, you know, checking out some other pop music station. But I realized that I would always come back to jazz, right? And then over time, I realized, I said to myself, whoa, this music is something that I actually like, you know. Uh, um, you know, it's amazing coming from I would say a culture where, I listen to predominantly reggae music, dancehall music at the time, and now an R&B, and then now I find myself listening to jazz. But yeah, so as I would commute to and from work, some days I would tune into this radio station, and I realized that whoa, this music actually it's actually good music. And then over time, my dial, just got stuck to that radio station, and then um, I would say that happened over the last um, 7 to 8 years, and then I find myself right now listening exclusively to jazz music. Yeah, to jazz music. And that's all because of this, um, you know, radio station that I listen to in Toronto, Canada here. Yeah, so that's the where I am right now in terms of the kind of music that I listen to. But the subject of the matter here is that I spend most of that time, most of the jazz that I listen to on the radio or from the radio. And I think that is partly because, the kind of music that this station plays, the announcers or the hosts that they have for the different segments throughout the day, um, they're really good. They're into the music. They know this stuff. they they, you know, I can see that there's a lot of research that goes into the kind of music that they play, and they play a lot of a wide, you know, a wide array in terms of the different kind of jazz music throughout the day, right? But that is not only you know, that's not only the reason why I like it, because I'm a kind of a technical kind of person, right? You know, when I'm listening music, I like to hear the nuances of the music. I love to hear, um, you know, listening from an evaluative kind of way. I love to hear, you know, the fullness of the music. You know, the like I said, the nuances of the music. You know, the separation of the sound stage, that kind of stuff. You know, the stereo separation and all of that. And I don't know how this radio station does it, but the broadcast the broadcast come through with so much clarity and fullness and I'm trying to find the right adjectives to describe the, you know, the way the music comes across. I mean, it's sometimes I'm listening to this radio station and it's as if you're almost there, you know. It's as if it's crazy, guys. You know, I don't know. I think a lot of it also can be attributed to maybe the kind of microphones that they're using, you know, the announcer is using. But apart from the microphones, because that is, the microphones are basically for the, you know, for the announcer. But it could also be the kind of preamps that they have in their setup. Um, it could also be, you know, the kind of compressor system that they use in the setup. Yeah, but overall, though, overall, the way the music is processed, or in some case, sounds very unprocessed, just very natural, very clean, full-bodied, and just, you know, nice, beautiful, um, wide sound stage. Um, it's just beautiful, just beautiful. And so over the years, you know, I've just got addicted to this radio station because, you know, in terms of listening to jazz music. And that is partly the reason why I spend so much of my time listening to music from the radio. Not just any radio station, but this, you know, that specific radio station. And I'm gonna give them a plug. I'm going to give them a plug. They not only broadcast over the air, but they also stream. They also stream. It's called Jazz 91.1 FM. If you have the time, check them out online. Beautiful music, very the kind of hosts that who are really into their music. Beautiful segments exploring different kinds of jazz music. It's just lovely, you know. So when I'm in the kitchen, you know, I may, you know, I have a little setup in my, you know, living dining room area, and for background music, sometimes I would, you know, just tune into that radio station. When I'm working out, it's that radio station again. Whenever I'm driving, you know, I'm commuting, it's that radio station again. And so it's just beautiful, guys. You know, listening to jazz from that radio station. So that's the kind of breakdown. 70% of my listening listening time, or my music listening, to be more specific, is from, you know, is from the radio. Now the other 30% is, I would say, you know, streaming, because I would stream occasionally in my car, like I mentioned, you know, from Spotify. That's the only one that I'm really I have a subscription to. But I will also play back concerts via YouTube, you know, through my car speakers. Yeah, and then, you know, I would spin a few CDs at home from time to time, I also have a turntable set up, and I will spin a couple of discs from time to time. So I still spin CDs. I still spin some vinyl here and there, but generally speaking, most of what I spin still comes back to jazz. All right. So that's my little dirty secret today, guys, that I want to share with you. I don't know whether or not you're like me who spend a lot of time listening to your music from the radio. But if you do, um, you know, tell me about it. And before I kind of close off this segment, one thing one thing that I have learned though, in terms of listening to jazz or listening to the radio in a kind of a quote unquote hi-fi settings, is to have a system or an amplifier, or should I say, an amplifier with a good tuner inside, something with a good tuner inside. You know, um, and that's the case for me right now. Now, behind me here, I have a little setup. I'm just gonna just back out of the way and kind of just give you a little sneak peek about it. Just kind of tell you about it. So what I have here on my console is um, a Yamaha integrated amplifier, right? It's the Yamaha integrated amplifier. Um, it's not very powerful. It's about 80 watts per channel. But what it does have is a very good tuner inside of it, a very good tuner inside of it. I mean, you know, whenever I play, okay, apart from having a good tuner inside of it, you also need to have a good antenna, right? And I connect. Not nec- you don't necessarily need a hi-fi antenna, right? You just need to have an antenna that can pull in a clean signal. And so this is that's what I have, which I connect to this. It's an antenna with kind of a coaxial cable kind of connection, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So, if you decide to give um, listening, music listening from the radio, a try, I would recommend maybe finding a very good dedicated tuner, or you get an integrated amplifier like this Yamaha here, which has a very good tuner built into it, and so that's kind of important. And not only this is not a review of this unit per se, but it also is it's a network receiver, so I can stream through this because it has Ethernet connection and all of that, and yeah. So this is what I for my when at the times when I really want clean, beautiful listening from a radio station per se, this amplifier has a very good FM tuner, right? So I just thought I'd mention that. All right. Yeah. So where was I? Yeah. So I don't know if you are in the kind of position that you know that I find myself. Oh, yeah. But I think I just hear my, if you're hearing any sound in the background, it's just my water heater running. And then my furnace just came on because it's cold in my house right now. But just to wrap this up, guys, how do you listen to music? Where do you spend most of your time listening to music? Is it in your car, like I do? And if you do, what do you do in your car? I mean, do you stream? You know, maybe using Apple, what is it called? Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, or maybe you're just listening through over-the-air radio stations. But tell me about it. How and where do you listen to music? Do you have a dedicated, a dedicated music room that you listen to, or for you, probably music is just more or less, background music. You're just listen to music in the background. But how do you listen to your music? What kind of setup do you have in terms of how you listen? But essentially, my big question today is, do you listen to music from the radio? And if so, what percentage of your music listening is from that source? Tell me about it. All right. So that's all for today. I just thought I would share my little, my little skeleton in my closet, so to speak, with you. And because we all have, something about us that may not be obvious to other people, little habits here and there. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoy this little video, don't forget to subscribe. Um, don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like this one. And yeah, so until the next video, you take care of yourself and just be good, okay? Bye bye.